When you go to the template chooser page, you can scroll down a little bit and you're going to be able to find the pictogram here. We have three sort of starting points of our pictogram charts, which is multiple bars, a single stacked bar, and stacked bars. For the purpose of this visualization, I'm going to start with multiple bars. So I'm just going to open a new visualization. And as you can see here, with almost every single Flourish template, actually, you would be able to find data already imported here, and you kind of get an overview of how your visualization would look like at the end. So here we can see that we have different columns representing different energy sources and consumption. For this webinar, I have used quite a similar data actually that I've took from our World in Data, and you will be able to find it in our slides that we're going to be sharing after. So what are we going to do now? As you can see here, we have a couple of different years, different energy types, which is a biomass, solar energy, and wind energy, and a value. So I'm just going to download this file as a CSV. And I'm just going to open my visualization and I'm going to click upload data. I'm going to open this, and nothing really new, works as any other Flourish template. Actually, that's my title. So I'm just going to copy this row. I'm going to paste it here and I'm going to get rid of this one, so it's a bit clearer. And yeah, now you can see that we have three separate columns. One of them is our year, the other one is our energy, and our value. One thing you will probably notice by now is that apart from our datasheet, our Flourish template also has icons. So we're going to get into this in more detail in a second, but here is where you can actually import your own icons and just use different icon bindings for your different categories that you're displaying. But let's just go back to the data first and go through these column bindings in the data tab. So our main category here is the categorical column that will define the categories along the axis. And in this visualization, I want my axis to display the different years. So my column needs to be A. For the subcategory, this is the categorical column that will define the categories within each bar. And because I want every year to be kind of to consist all of these all these three energy types, I'm just going to assign my category, my column B, as a subcategory. And the value here is a value C, which is going to be US dollars. The value always has to be a numerical column. If you assign a categorical column, the visualization wouldn't work. For the icon ID, this is basically the icon that we're going to be assigning to this kind of sheet. And because later on, I'm going to show you how to do these things. For now, I'm just going to put icon column B as my icon ID. And I'm going to do the same for color, because we don't want our visualization colored by different years. We want them colored by different types of energy. So I'm just going to assign column B here. And immediately what you can see is when we go to our preview tab, we already have a visualization that displays different years. I'm just going to close this. It displays different years. And of course, we have a legend here that represents the different colors and the different energy types. So now we're going to start looking at our chart settings. The first chart setting you can find is the bar orientation, or you can basically create a bar or a column. You can also flip the bars, which means that in this case, your x-axis is going to go on the top as opposed to the bottom. And if you have a horizontal bar orientation, your y-axis is going to be on the right as opposed on the left. I'm just going to use it vertical for now. Moving on to a very important setting, actually, this is our icon settings. Here, as you can see, our very first icon option is the use icon bindings. What this setting does is basically it extracts all the data that we've put into our icon spreadsheet, and it basically assigns different icons for different categories. But of course, you can always use any of these here that we've already embedded into Flourish, such as square, for example. And you'll see that every single icon becomes a square. Now, a very important setting here in this icons drop-down menu is the auto icon value. What this thing does is, if it's turned on, Flourish automatically calculates the value that each of your icons is representing. In this case, this is 1 billion, just because we're dealing with a huge amount of numbers here. If I turn this off, however, and if I don't want this automatic icon value, you're going to see that our default icon value is 1, but although it says 1 here, here it says 300 million. And the reason for this is simply because sometimes Flourish, when we're dealing with huge numbers, Flourish tries to improve performance as much as possible, so it cannot go below a certain value. And you can see here we also had a warning that basically explains the exact same thing. So if you assign a number here and it doesn't show up here, that might be the reason why. I'm just going to use the auto icon value for now. You can, of course, choose whether you would like to use an outline or just like some solid icons. And another important setting is our filler icons. I'm just going to show you another visualization that I've already created to show you. So here what you can see, for example, is a pictogram that shows the people who have received the second dose of vaccinations, and 50% of the British population is now fully vaccinated. Now, I think it's even more than 50% actually, because that was created a few days ago. But this chart actually doesn't show what are we saying in our header in the best possible way. So what we can do here is we can literally get to our icons and use filler icons. Then what we can do is assign a maximum bar value. And I know that the population of England is 66.67 million of the UK, sorry. Million people. And now what you can see is we have these filler icons that just appeared here, and now we can actually see this better. If one thing you need to pay attention to is that if you assign anything different than a whole number in the maximum bar value, Flourish will try to be as accurate as possible, so it will actually display this square in about 60–70%, not entirely. However, if we go to 67, you'll see that we have a full square here. And in addition, if you would like to create original, authentic, proper waffle chart, so to say, you can fill the final row with this setting here, and you're going to see that now we have a full visualization that appears in this window. Going back to our initial visualization, I'm going to move on to our colors, bar labels, and axes. Nothing much changed here. So, for example, if I want my solar energy to be in yellow, for example, I can just do something like this. And you're going to see that my visualization changed, and I can do literally the same with wind energy here. And I can put any color I wish, like this, for example. In addition, with the bar labels, nothing really changes either. You can choose whether you would like to show the bar labels or not on top of your visualization. And with the axis, what you can do is you can actually flip it as well. So now 2008 is on this side of the window, 2016 is on the left. And if we turn this off, they're opposite. With the number formatting, nothing new here either, but for the purposes of this visualization, I'm just going to make it a bit more clear what kind of numbers we're dealing with. So I'm just going to put dollar because this is US dollars, a billion, because I'm just going to turn on my advanced setting. And here, I'm just going to use this function, which is 10 to the power of, which means that you can basically reduce or enlarge the number of zeros you have after a certain number. And because I want my values in billions, I'm just going to go -9. And now you can see that we have an actual representation of 233 billion and not these zeros and massive numbers. Moving on to the legends, here you can basically just select the alignment you wish, as well as the orientation. You can choose a vertical legend, for example, whether you would like them to be bold or normal. With those three legends here, the value icon and the color legend, basically what you do is you style your different legends according to what you wish. So this is our value legend here that basically displays that 1 square is equals $1 billion. So for example, if I want, I can increase the height and make it black or green or whichever setting I want to change. With the icon legend, at the moment, we don't have an icon legend displayed just because we're using the same icons for every single category. But when we import our own icons, I'm also going to show you this. And with the color legend here as well, color legend represents those three settings here. You can, of course, enable or disable it. You can add a title, change the custom order override if you wish, and of course, make it vertical as well. And then with the pop-ups, nothing has really changed either. You can, of course, add custom pop-up content and assign and just like change the styling of your pop-ups just for the purposes of just to fit everything in time. I'm not going to go into too much details about this. There is one more important setting here, which is a value control. In this chart and in this template, you are allowed to have more than one column for value. So if I quickly just write value 1 here and I write some number here, I can bind this column as well into value. And here you're going to see that immediately we got like a filter sort of control, which you can regulate from here. And you can choose whether you would like it to always appear only in the editor or never. And obviously that will affect your visualization. I'm just going to delete this as well. And then with the layout, header, footer, and accessibility, everything is basically as same as always. I can add a title here, for example. I'm just gonna copy and paste this from my data sheet like this, so we can actually create some nice visualization like that. And we should be able to have a header and subtitle. So that's basically it, more or less. These are the basic settings of the pictogram. Of course, if you want to use the same icons for everything. Now, one important thing you need to know is if you want to create a single stacked bar full with different icons, you can, of course, use our blueprint that you can find in the template chooser. But if you've already started the visualization, such as this one, for example, and I don't want to show the different investment in renewable energy by year, but instead I want to show the total value, what I can do is I can just get rid of my main category, which is my year, just leave this blank. And now you're going to see that we have one full bar that shows the total amount of everything that we want here. Obviously, our number formatting also needs to change, but yeah, this is how you can create a stacked bar if you've already started the visualization. Now, the thing with icons, let's get to the point, straight to the point that I think is the most exciting part of our pictogram at the end. Let's say that we want to use 3 different icons for our 3 categories here. The first thing we need to remember to do is we can go to icons and use icon bindings here. And what this thing will do is now it's going to extract our data from our icons sheet. As you can see here, these are some things left from our blueprint already that was currently in the template. And you can see that there are some path strings here, as well as width and height settings, but there are also some solar category left from our blueprint, and it just says sun next to it. So what if I want my solar energy to be represented by a sun? I can literally just copy and paste this. I recommend copying and pasting just because everything is case sensitive as well. I can just put it here. And now what you can see is that our solar energy has changed to a sun. In a very similar way, you can literally use every single icon that we've already have embedded into our visualization here. So for example, let's say that I want to use a building for our wind energy, for example. So what I can do here is I can just go to our data. I can copy my category, go here and write building. And you're going to see that our wind energy has changed to a building instead of a simple circle. The reason, one thing you need to remember is, although here we have upper cases in each word, here it all has to be written in a very simple way like this. Otherwise, it just wouldn't work. So if I'm here to put a capital B, you're going to see that the visualization simply didn't work. So I'm just going to change this. Okay, but what if we're doing another visualization and none of our icons are embedded into Flourish? What we do then? I'm going to show you a third visualization that my colleague Louisa has created. This visualization basically shows the livestock for US and UK. And you can see that we already have here some icons for cattle, for chickens, for goats, for horses, and for sheep, but we still are missing our pig icon. So what we can do then is we can import our own. For the time being, what we need to do is we need to extract the path string of an SVG file. And to do that, you need to use a third-party app and a software that basically supports SVG files, such as Adobe Illustrator, for example. Here at Flourish, we use Figma. So I'm going to show you how to use, like our example is going to be by using Figma, which is a web app. You would also like, currently we're still developing our template. We're trying to improve, and hopefully in the future it will be possible to upload your own JPEGs, PNGs, and SVGs and upload them directly onto Flourish and create your icons that way. But for the time being, I'm going to show you the current process. So what are we using to get icons is a couple of websites that you can find in the resources at the end of my presentation. Here we have selected an icon of a pig from Flat Icon, but you can also use Noun Project. And of course, you can create your own SVG. Just also as a side note, if you're using an online icon, please just remember to give attribution to the artist. So what am I going to do is I'm literally going to use free download, and I'm going to download my pig icon as an SVG. As you can see here, it just downloaded. So what am I going to do is I'm going to open Figma. I've already created a new document, and I'm literally just going to drag and drop my pig icon. Just going to resize it a little bit so we can actually see what's happening. And from here on, you don't really have to do anything apart from just right-clicking and copying the icon as SVG. What this thing will do, it will basically create a path string that we're using to then embed it into Flourish. And you can copy this and paste it in any single text editor that you have on your computer, such as Visual Studio Code, Notepad++. I've tried it with Google Docs as well, and even Google Docs will do. But for the time being, we're just going to use Visual Studio Code. So I'm just going to open this, and I'm going to paste the SVG that I've just copied from Figma. And as you can see here, we have a path starting with D equals and a code that's in quotation marks. The only thing that we need...
can't see your Visual Studio Code, Simona.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
Can you see now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, the thing I was referring to is row number 3. So as you can see here, this is our path, and it starts with D equals and some code in quotation marks. The thing we need for Flourish is literally this code starting with M something. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. No quotation marks, no nothing, just the code. And then I'm going to open my visualization again, not this one. I'm going to go to data here. And as you can see, we already have embedded different icons. Louisa has embedded it in the similar way. So I'm just going to paste my code here. And I'm going to go to the data, and I'm going to go to my peaks. I'm going to copy and paste this here. And as you can see now, something really did change by using this kind of path string. We have some pigs here, but they're very small. The reason why they're so small is because whenever you import your own icons into Flourish, you also need to specify the width and the height of your SVG file. And you can find it by going into your codes that you've just copied and checking here in row number 1, you're going to be able to find both. So in this case, our both are 163. So I'm just going to write them here. 163 and 163. And here you can see that our pigs are now as big as the other icons, and they're looking very nice in this visualization. So that's about it, really. Very, very straightforward, quite simple once you kind of get to know the whole process. I hope that was useful to you. Don't worry about taking notes or anything like this. That obviously is going to be uploaded onto YouTube, and you're going to be able to access it at any single time. Here in my last slide, as promised, you can find everything that we've used for this webinar, such as our resources. Here we've shared the icon websites which we most often use. This is the data that I've used for this example, as well as how to import custom icons help docs. More help docs are coming in soon. Of course, if you struggle in creating something, you can always refer to these. You can, of course, always email us at hello@flourishstudio and on Twitter as well. And just as a reminder, our next webinar is going to be on the 20th of July, and our colleague Anna is going to show everyone how you can create very cool and nice visualization by using our survey template. So yeah, thank you so much for joining this webinar. I hope you enjoyed it, and of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat.